Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review in 3 minutes, give or take. This time we're checking out Park Story. Park Story is developed and published by Persons of Interest and released on October 20th, 2022 for a price of $18.49. A little bit of an odd price point, but yeah, let's talk about the game. I'll tell you what I like, what I don't like. This game's advertised as an action-adventure game, but to be honest, I think it's more of a puzzle game. You're pretty much going to be exploring this park. You've been in a car wreck and you're trying to find your way home. You're watching here kind of a little bit at the beginning of the game. The game features about 15 different areas with multiple dungeons and side quests available, so there's a decent little bit of content to do in the game, but a lot of the content though will at times either seem very repetitive or you'll find yourself just doing some of the very similar tasks over and over. I feel like the game, when it comes to explaining how to play it and what to do, could have done a little more, a little better making things function. It kind of has a little wheel at the top right of your screen where it kind of gives you directional options to know what some of your things you can do. But as far as explaining how all those things work in the game, I think the game does a really poor job at that. Granted, it ramps itself up okay, but for anybody who comes into this game expecting to play more of like an action RPG, you're definitely going to be disappointed to find out that it's more of a puzzle game that has some baddies that you kind of get to fight and attack and interact with. There's a little bit of a interesting thing when it comes to like various like text messages and stuff and little interactions with the game, but for the most part, this is a puzzle game fully at heart. You're just going to be exploring different areas. You'll slowly get different weapons where you can attack those little bad guys that are coming after you, but your goal is ultimately just to escape the park and get your little hero guy all the way back home. To be honest, I don't even remember his name. That's how little that the story really helped engage me with this game. But the puzzles, though, being said, are actually kind of fun and enjoyable. They're nothing that's too overly difficult, and for the most part are pretty easy to solve. You'll just have to take a lot of time. A lot of the time playing this game, you're going to see yourself just walking around and exploring areas. As you can see here, we're starting out in a kind of like a skate park area, which honestly took me quite a while to figure out it was a skate park, because just the way the game visually does some stuff, it doesn't explain it too super well. And then you'll get into things like sewers and other areas of the park, and then slowly get introduced to these like little like ghoul-like guys you have to fight and attack that do get a little better. There's a couple boss encounters, but for the most part, that's kind of about it. What you're seeing on screen is kind of the enemies, and it's not really much of a fight when it comes to how the game works, is you're just simply going to be swinging an axe, and the enemies for the most part are extremely easy to beat. You have a little bit of a health bar, and if you die, it kind of just resets you back to where you were. But it's pretty easy generally to beat most of the enemies, as you can just spam A for just about everybody. There are a few boss sequences that make the game a little bit more of a little loop thrown in there, but that's kind of about it. Visually, the game looks alright. I don't have any real complaints about the game. It kind of fits the aesthetic that I think the game's going for. Some of the stuff can seem a little out of place at times, but that's about it. Soundtrack and audio-wise, the game does a good job with that. It kind of helps you feel like you're in that environment, but there's not a lot more going on that I really want to talk about that's too special as far as the soundtrack. But yeah, overall, that's my opinion on Park Story. As far as an opinion of buy, sell, pass, I think the game comes in a little bit of a steep price point for what it is, being just under $20. I think this game would have fit better around a $10 price point. So as far as buy, sell, pass, I would recommend passing on Park Story until it hits a little bit of a lower price point. It's fun and enjoyable if you like puzzle games, but if you're not a puzzle game person, this is definitely not going to be a game for you to pick up and play, as, it's not really an action RPG. I don't really know why the developers kind of classified it as that. I don't feel any action-y RPG-esque vibes from the game. It just feels like I'm playing a puzzle game. Outside of that, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.